Welcome to Chapter 6, Section 2, entitled Ratio Tables. All right, a ratio table contains columns that are filled with pairs of numbers that have the same ratio. All right, equivalent ratios express the same relationship between two quantities. Now, this ratio table, what it means is it contains columns. They can be vertical or horizontal, and each one contains a certain unit. So it could be miles and hours here. And basically, you could have 1 mile for 2 hours. That's 1 to 2. Then you'd have 2 hours, which would be 4. That's still 1 to 2. Or 3 and 6. That's still 1 to 2. These are all equivalent ratios or equivalent fractions. All right? So that's basically what these will end up being. Ratio tables are equivalent fractions. All right? Because ratios and fractions are pretty much identical. So here's our first example. A recipe calls for 5 cups of water for each cup of pinto beans. Use the ratio table to find how many cups of water should be used for 4 cups of pinto beans. Now, there are 2 methods in which you can accomplish this. Method 1 would be to find a pattern, or I guess you could say continue the pattern. And method 2 would be to multiply by same number, okay, until you get to that 4. So let's take a look at the first one. Find a pattern and extend it. For 2 cups of beans, you would need to not only double this, but double that. Then for 3 cups of beans, well, 5, this goes 1, 2, 3, 4, so this would go 5, 10, 15, 20. So you could continue the pattern until you reach 4 cups. Multiplying is a little bit faster, but sometimes it's hard to come up with a number. 1 times 4 gives us 4. 5 times 4 gives us 20. So either way, you would need to have 20 cups of water for 4 cups of beans. Let's continue. Let's do this as well. A recipe of punch calls for 3 cups of juice for every cup of soda. Use the ratio table to find how many cups of juice should be used for 5 cups of soda. So I'm going to recommend that you pause the video and try using one of the methods on your own. And hopefully you pause the video and have your answer. I'll go ahead and work out this pattern. So we're going to increase by the top 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, which means this should become 6. Add 3 more becomes 9. Add 3 more becomes 12. And 3 more becomes 15. All right, the pattern was +1 and +3 each time. That was method number 1. Method 2 would have us take a look at 1, 3, and 5 and say, what do we multiply by? Well, here you would multiply by 5. So here you would multiply by 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So use the ratio table. We would need to have 15 cups for 5 cups. Now, example, equivalent ratios. spiders. Texas has over 900 species of spiders. Use the ratio table to find how many legs a spider has. So, okay, so 4 spiders will have 32 legs. If we divide by 2, that'd give us 2, which means we have to divide the bottom number by 2, which gives us 16. So that means then that for 2 spiders, you have 16 legs. When you divide by 2 again, you get 8. So a spider has 8 legs. That means for 1 spider, 8 legs. Now, something you'd want to do then for this is you go ahead and say, all right, well, now I want to have 900 spiders. Well, the way you would set this up is to simply multiply by 900 on both parts of the ratio. And you'd see that 900 spiders should have 7,200 legs. All right, let's check this out on our own. We're now working backwards. Apartment building has the same number of windows. Use the ratio to find how many windows each apartment in the building has. So if there are 8 apartments, there are 32. Oops. So then we go ahead and divide by 2 and get 16. Divide by 2, we get 2 and 8. Continue to divide by 2. Basically, we are reducing this fraction, 8/32ths, all the way down to 1/4. So every apartment has 4 windows. All right, next vocabulary words. And we're going to say that multiplying or divide 2 related quantities by the same number is called scaling. That means if you have a number, you have something you multiply or divide by the same number, you're going to get a scale of that number. So, and that's basically what we had been doing. Clothing. Coco used 12 yards of fabric to make 9 blouses. Use the ratio table to find the number of blouses she could make with 20 yards of fabric. So, there is no whole number by which you can multiply 12 to get 20. So the first thing you're going to do is scale back to 4. That means you're going to divide by 3. You're going to divide each one by 3 and get an equivalent fraction of 4/3. Now, once you have a 4 here, and the reason we chose a 4 is because we know how to multiply 4 to get to 20. Well, you multiply by 5. So you'd multiply by 5, and you'd get 20/15. So Coco could make 15 blouses with 20 yards of fabric. Same thing here. Let's see. Wallace ordered 18 bottles, ordered 27. So there's no way to get directly from 18 to 27. But you can divide by 2 to get 9/4. And the reason we divided by 2 was because 9 times 3 gives us 27. So if you do the same to the bottom, you get 12. So that means you could have 27 students with 12 bottles. All right, so that was ratio tables. Make sure you do all the CYUs, which are on page 325, 1 through 4. And of course, your homework we will do in class. This we will do in class. Good luck.